Once a rich businessman comes to a Buddhist monk and says, "Bhante, I have experienced for some time that I am getting more and more thoughts like worry, anger, greed, and pride. Because of this worry, anger, greed, and pride, I am continuously failing in my business and my competitors are continuously going ahead of me. And this is dragging me towards more deep worries. I tried a lot but I am unable to leave my habits of worry, anger, greed, and pride. Please tell me a solution so that I can get rid of these bad habits forever." The Buddhist monk listened to the rich businessman carefully and said, "Before I tell you the solution to your problem, I want to tell you a story. Listen carefully. There were 4 horses with a king. Those 4 horses were very strong and beautiful in appearance. That is why the king loved those 4 horses very much. But the king's problem was that those 4 horses were very arrogant. They were not educated to ride horses in any way. The king wanted to educate those horses so that they would be beautified. But the king was still unsuccessful because the educators who sat on their back would make them fall from their back and injure them badly with their feet. And because they were the king's favorite horses, the king had a strict order that no educator would beat those horses and educate them. That is why all the educators were successful till now. Now the king made an announcement in his kingdom that whoever will educate these horses without beating them, will be given 10 lakh gold coins. A few days after the announcement, a young farmer comes to the king's court and says, "I can educate your 4 horses without causing any physical harm. But I have some conditions for this." The king said, "What are your conditions?" The farmer said, "I need a year to educate these horses. And also, I should be given all the responsibility of taking care of these horses, feeding them, and giving them food. And I should also be given the provision of living with these horses." The king said, "Okay, all your conditions will be accepted. You can educate these horses from tomorrow." The next morning, the farmer takes those 4 horses to a big barn and leaves it open. And he himself starts running around the barn. After running for a while, he feeds those horses with his own hands, gives them water, and himself eats and lies down in the same barn. The horses were still roaming freely in the same barn. No horse was tied with a rope. As evening falls, he wakes up and starts running around the barn. When he used to run, the horses were also afraid of him and ran here and there. When night fell, he fed the horses and tied them with a rope and went to sleep near them. In the morning, the farmer then takes those horses to the barn and leaves it open. And he himself starts running around the barn. The horses also start running around. Now this became his daily routine. The farmer kept the horses open every day, bathed them, fed them, cared for them with love, played with them. And then at night, he would sleep with them. Gradually, the horses also started roaming with the farmer. He felt that this farmer was his friend. Because since this farmer had come, the horses had started feeling free. Now all 4 of them had started liking the farmer. In this way, about 6 months passed. One day, the emperor came to see the training of the horses. He saw that the farmer was running ahead in the barn and the 4 horses were running behind him. The emperor liked the training of that farmer and he left from there. When 1 year's time was over, the emperor was sent a message that the horses had been fully trained. The emperor came to see those horses with great enthusiasm. As soon as the emperor came, the farmer sat on all the horses one by one, held their reins, rode and showed the emperor. All the horses were running at full speed, with the full control of no hesitation, sitting the farmer on their back. Seeing this, the emperor was surprised. He asked the farmer, "How did you do this miracle?" The farmer said, "First I gave them freedom, stayed with them and became their friend. I used to run around the barn every day, seeing me running, they also started running behind me. Then I started putting a stick on their back. Initially, they used to drop the stick, but slowly they started running with the stick on their back. Then I started sitting on their back when they were standing. I used to sit for a while and then get down. When these horses got used to making me sit on their back, I started sitting on their back and making them run. And slowly they got used to it and now the result is in front of you." The emperor was very happy to hear all this. He gave the farmer 10 lakh gold coins, but also hired him to take care of those horses. After finishing the story, the Buddhist monk said to the rich trader, "These 4 types of horses are found in humans too, whose names are worry, anger, pride and greed. And the educator in this story is our intellect, that is, we ourselves. You should keep educating these four horses of your mind with the help of your intellect so that they can be under your control. But for this, you will have to make friends with them first. That is, you will have to understand the workflow of these four and put a hold on them. And it will be possible slowly. You cannot do it all of a sudden. Like the first horse, worrying is more complicated than thinking. Whereas thinking gives a solution. You should try to explain this to your mind through your intellect. You should spend your time not worrying with your positive thinking, but finding a solution to the problem. The second horse, anger may or may not harm someone else, but it does harm itself. But it is also necessary to be angry at some places. Like when someone is causing us harm for no reason, or when someone is threatening or beating a weak or helpless person for no reason. But when, where, and how much anger to do, when to keep it controlled and how to keep it controlled. All these things should be taught to this restless horse called anger slowly with your intellect. The third thing, pride and self-confidence have a very thin line. I can only do this is pride. I can do this too, this is self-confidence. So this difference between pride and self-confidence should be explained to your mind through your intellect. And if someone is proud of his wealth, power, and beauty, then he should explain this to his pride-like horse through his intellect. That there were many people before me who were many times more beautiful, intelligent, powerful, and rich than me. But today they have all been buried in the soil. All this is not permanent. All this is not going to be forever. We should explain this to our pride-like horse through our intellect. And the fourth thought, greed. If greed is of knowledge, then it is good. But if greed is of ignorance, then it is bad. If greed is of earning money with knowledge, intelligence, hard work, and honesty, then it is good. But if greed is of being clever, deceiving, quick, and earning money in the wrong way, then it is bad. This difference should be explained to our pride-like horse through our intellect. In the end, the Buddhist monk said to the trader, "All I mean to say is that if you want to end the evil within you, then you can understand it and gradually get rid of it through your intellect." After this, the Buddhist monk closed his eyes and the rich trader bowed to him and left.